Hey guys, this is going to be an introduction into the shifts of the demand curve and determining demand versus quantity demanded. This is going to be a little bit more technical than some of the other topics that we've been talking about lately, so make sure you're writing notes and paying attention as close as possible. Alright, so getting into it, I want to review a couple things that we're going to be mentioning later in this video. So to review substitute goods, those are similar goods that compete against each other. The example listed here is beef, chicken, and pork. So if we have a sale, for example, for beef, the demand for beef is going to increase, right? You love getting a sale and a discount. Who wants to spend more money than they have to? So if beef is on sale, people are going to buy beef. If you're going to cook dinner for your family tonight and you already have beef, you're probably not also going to buy chicken and pork, unless that was your original plan. So these types of goods compete directly with one another. Another example is different brands of cars or different brands of carbonated beverages such as Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, and Pepsi. If you're drinking one, you're probably not drinking the others right now or in general if you have a favorite. So substitute goods, if the demand for one increases, the demand for others decrease. It's an inverse relationship. If one goes up, the other goes down because they're in complete competition with each other. Now, complementary goods are different. These are goods that go together, kind of like peanut butter and jelly, or pasta and spaghetti sauce, or socks and shoes. So in this case, it's a direct relationship. Let's say peanut butter is in high demand. Well, if you have peanut butter, there's a good chance people are also going to be buying things such as bread or jelly. Another example is in the fall, a lot of people want to make s'mores. So if you actually notice in the grocery stores, a lot of times they'll have things grouped together by complementary goods. So if you see s'mores stuffed together, you'll have the graham crackers, you'll have the chocolate, and probably the marshmallows all together in one spot. Those are your complementary goods. Now, determinant. This is new information. Determinants are factors that cause fluctuations in demand for a good or service. Fluctuation is a variation, it's a change, a shift, something that's different. So a determinant is basically determining what has caused a change in demand. And this can be a lot of different things that we're about to talk about. So when I refer to the word determinant, that is the reason why. It's if you ask yourself, why did this happen? The answer is going to be your determinant. All right. Demand versus quantity demanded. This is going to be the big factor for this lesson, and I want to make sure that we emphasize that. So this is going to be, if you're writing notes, make sure you do a star, underline. This first one is going to be demand, and we'll talk about the second one in a moment. So change in demand. That means the entire demand curve shifts left or right, the entire line. So right here I have D1. That's my starting line, and if it's going to shift left or right, that would be this red line here, which would be D2. Most of the time you'll have those labeled as D1, D2, and then you'll have an arrow pointing either left or right, depending on if it's an increase or decrease of demand. Remember that down here at the axis, the number is 0, so if it's a decrease in demand, the numbers are going to get smaller, so a decrease will be this direction, whereas an increase is going to go this way, because as your axis on your X and Y axis goes further away from 0, the greater the numbers are. Alright, so demand, shift or left or right. So just start with that and we'll break that down in just a second. For the second part, make sure you have quantity. Circle it, highlight it, underline it, put a star, something. Quantity. These two things right here are the biggest differences in this lesson. Demand versus quantity demanded. So demand is, do I want it or not? Quantity demanded is, yes, I want it, but do I want 1 pair of shoes or do I want 5 pairs of shoes? Quantity is how many of an item or how much. So this is the movement along the demand curve. This is caused only by change in price. The curve itself does not move. So this line right here is going to stay here. The only difference is maybe I have a dot on the line here or a dot on the line here. Depending if it increases or decreases, it's going to slide along the line, but the line itself does not change, and that's the big difference. Alright, change in demand. That's the first one we talked about where it shifts left and right, as you can see in the picture right here. So determinants, some of these examples are population. So if you have more people in a city, then you're going to have more demand for resources. That just makes sense. More cars, more gas, more groceries, more jobs, etc. The changes in demands also apply to income. If you have more money, then you're probably going to be buying more expensive brands, you're going to buy more things, you're going to splurge more, or at least have the ability to do so. The price of substitutes or complement goods. So that's the one that we reviewed earlier. Either the direct or inverse relationship between one good and another. So if the price of one changes, how does it impact the other? That's another determinant of demand. Future expectations. So right now it's winter time, but I fully expect that we're going to need jackets for a couple more months, and then after that it's going to start warming up and stores are going to start offering more short sleeve shirts and shorts. In the summertime it'll be bathing suits, etc. Those are future expectations that you can kind of modify your behavior based off of. So that's another determinant of demand. Popularity is one. If it's popular, it's going to sell more. And then seasons, kind of like what I alluded to before. If it's cold or different holidays are coming around, that's going to change the demand for certain products. Around Christmas time, ornaments are in high demand. The rest of the year, not so much. Quantity demanded. Remember, this is the one that's going to move along the demand curve. So you can see the arrow going up here and the arrow going down there. The dot is on the line itself, but it just goes along the line without moving the line itself. This is only caused by a change in price. If you see a sale that says buy one, get one half off, well, heck yeah, I'm getting a discount, right? I'm saving money. So that was a change in price. Therefore, instead of two shirts, I'm going to get 3 or whatever the sale was. One thing to take a note of, and we'll talk more about this later, is a result of a shift in the supply curve. This relates to quantity demanded. For example, let's say there is a global shortage of sugar, for example. And let's say I'm baking some goods for the holidays or a birthday cake, something like that, and I need sugar for what I'm baking. Now, if there's only one bag of sugar at Walmart, I can only buy that one bag. That's all that's available. So my quantity right here is actually limited to that one bag that's available. So if that supply curve shifted all the way down to 1, I only have the option of 1. So that's how your supply and your demand kind of feed off of each other, and we'll talk more about that in the next lesson. Alright, let's look at some examples. The price of gasoline falls. How will the demand of a new automobile change? So we gotta look at a couple things here. How is gas and cars related? Well, if you don't have gas, a car is not going to do you very much good. Therefore, they're complementary goods. If you have one, you want the other. If I have a car, I want gas so I can actually run it. Complementary goods. Now, we said that if it's shifting along the line like this, that means the only reason it did so was a change in price. So in this example right here, we don't have a change in price of cars. Make sure you focus on what the question's asking about. It's asking about cars right now, based on how it relates to gasoline prices. So the price of cars didn't actually change. So it's going to be a shift. That tells me right here on my first little block, it's going to be a change in demand, not quantity demanded. If gas is cheaper, people are going to be more willing to buy cars. The determinant is that they're complementary goods. That's the reason why this changed, because the relationship between gas and cars is complementary. Next example. Tariffs or taxes are added on imported wine. The demand change of imported and American wine. So if you have a higher price on this wine, for example, less people are going to want to buy it because it's more expensive. Who wants to pay more money for the same thing you've been getting before at a cheaper price? Nobody. So what changed in this scenario? They changed the price. If we're changing the price, which is my determinant down here, that means that it changed the quantity demanded. And like always, if you see the word quantity, you know you're moving along the line and not moving the line itself. That's the most important part to remember about this lesson. All right, another one. unemployment rate rises. So more people don't have jobs and they don't have money, or at least as much as they're used to. So how does this demand change the demand for Disneyland tickets? Well, I don't know about you, but if I'm unemployed, I'm worried about having a roof over my head, feeding my family, getting gas in the car, finding a job. I'm worried about the basics here. I'm not trying to save up for a vacation for 5 people to Disneyland and buying tickets. I don't care about that. So the demand is going to dramatically decrease in this case. But what has changed here? Did the price of the tickets change? No. If they had, then it would be quantity. It would be moving along the line of demand. What changed here is unemployment. That's a change in income. That's one of the determinants of demand. Therefore, it is a shift of demand, and the determinant is change in income. And you can see there the line from A that shifts to the left to B. Remember, it's getting closer to that 0 mark of the graph right here, and that's showing you that it's getting lower. Alright, just to recap, if a price of something changes, and the only cause is price, that's going to be a quantity demanded change. That means you're going along the line that's on the graph. You're not changing the line itself. If it's anything like popularity, income, seasons, literally anything else besides changing the price of the product, anything else, it's going to be a shift to the left or to the right. So your demand versus quantity demanded, the answer is going to be demand. The cause or the determinant is going to be that popularity, change in income, seasons, whatever it was that happened in that scenario. And then the line is going to move to the left if it's decreased demand, or it's going to move to the right or outward if it's an increase in that demand. For your worksheet that you have to go with this, it's going to give you a little scenario similar to the ones that we just walked through. So you need to make sure you're looking at all the determinants here and really thinking about the stuff we've talked about in this video. So if it's a determinant, that means it's going to be a shift to the left or right. If it's going to be a quantity change, that means it was a change in price and it moves along the line on the graph without changing the line itself. And here's a little visual to kind of help you out as you're doing the assignment. So your thought process here, the whole thing is trying to decide, is it change in demand or a change in the quantity demanded? So if your reason is price changed, then your answer is quantity. That means it moves along the line of the demand curve. Now, if it's any of these other reasons over here, such as popularity, seasons, population, or income, including complementary goods and substitute goods, then that's going to be a demand shift, and that shifts the entire line to the left or right. And remember, all these little colored things here are going to be your determinants. And that is how you determine if the shift or the change in a demand curve is caused by a change in demand versus quantity demanded.